Okay, we have a full house today, so let's get started, okay? We are going to be talking about the Trump account, okay? What it is and why it matters, okay? So again, I know that name is very polarizing. Some people love Trump, some people hate Trump. We're not going to get into the whole politics. We're going to stick to the tax side of things. All right, so let's get started. What is the Trump account? Who qualifies? Who benefits from it? And what's the requirements? And how does this relate to real estate investors? Because we all know that a lot of our real estate investor clients have children or are going to have children. So you want to pay attention to this. Okay, even if you don't have kids right now, you never know what happens in 9 months. So you want to pay attention, okay? So who am I? You guys already know me. My name is Jason Mambute, real estate investor since 2018, single family homes, multi-family properties, invested out of state, CPA since 2015. I have been doing taxes and accounting though since 2013. I'm also a certified tax coach. What does this mean? All that is, it's a fancy title to say that I eat, breathe, and dream tax planning, and I have been certified to do so. Okay, so what is the Trump account? So remember that on July 4th, 2025, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was passed and there were sweeping tax law changes. And one of those tax laws that came to being at the time was the Trump account. So what is a Trump account? So a Trump account is think of a IRA. It's similar to an IRA. The only difference is that this is for children who were born between 2025 and December 31st of 2028. The federal government gives them $1,000 of seed money. And that $1,000 grows tax-free, okay, tax-deferred growth, okay, but the catch is that you cannot touch that money until the kid turns 18 years old. And then when it turns 18, it automatically converts into a traditional IRA, okay? So even though the Trump accounts were passed in July 4th of 2025, it's not scheduled to launch until June 2026, so in about 4 months, okay? So as mentioned before, what is the eligibility here? The child must be born in the United States of America. You see my flag? Okay, they must be under the age of 18 with a valid social security number to open the account. Okay? You can still get a Trump account after 2028, but for you to get the $1,000 of seed money, you must be born between 2025 and 2028, okay? And contributions to the account can be $5,000, okay? $5,000 per year, and employers can contribute up to $2,500 per year. And that amount is excluded from employee taxable income. And also, please note that the government seed and exempt contributions don't count towards that $5,000 cap that we just discussed right now. Okay? So each child can only get one Trump account. Okay, so here are some high-level rules that my team has summarized for us. So before the age of 18, there's no withdrawals allowed, okay, except for limited rollovers, all right, corrections in excess contributions, or unfortunately upon the owner's death, okay? At the age of 18, the Trump account converts into a traditional IRA and follows traditional IRA tax and distribution rules, okay? So once the kid turns 18, the kid can then withdraw that money for qualified higher education expenses. That withdrawal amount is still taxed, but the 10% early distribution penalty is waived, okay? So it's very similar to the traditional IRA. So as you know, if you have a traditional IRA, that money goes tax-free. But if you withdraw that money before the retirement age, you get taxed and also you get a 10% penalty. The difference with the Trump account is that you will still get taxed if you withdraw it for educational purposes, but you will not get the 10% penalty, okay? So qualified education expenses include tuitions, fees, books, and required supplies, all right? So again, unqualified withdrawals before the age of 59 and a half, you will be subject to a 10% early distribution penalty. Okay, so here's some misconceptions here. Okay, so a lot of people in real estate had this misconception. So no, you cannot use that money to go and start a business. If you start a business, for example, you want to start a house flipping business, or you want to start a wholesaling business, you will get taxed, and you will also get that 10% penalty, okay? And then same thing with buying properties, okay? For all my real estate investors there, no, you cannot use this money to buy your primary residence or a rental property. If you do that, you will get taxed, plus you will get a 10% penalty. So please be mindful of that, okay? As mentioned here, as I've talked about this a few seconds ago, literally, I remember when the talks about the Trump account first came out last year, a lot of people who were in real estate were saying that, oh, Donald Trump is a real estate guy, so he's going to allow you to use the Trump account money to buy a rental or go buy a primary residence. And once the actual bill came out, that was not the case, right? So no, you cannot use that money to buy a first-time home, a primary residence, or a rental property, okay? Not unless you like paying taxes and penalties, all right? So again, the magic number here is 59 and a half, because if you withdraw that money before 59 and a half, you will get both taxes and also early withdrawal penalties on that money. Okay, so just as a reminder again, we've already talked about this slide as well. What do you need to get the Trump account? You need to be a U.S. citizen. You need to have a valid social security number. You need to be born between 2025 and 2028. That's if you want to get that $1,000 seed money. You could still open the Trump account after 2028, but you just won't get the $1,000 of seed money. And another misconception out there is, no, there are no income requirements or phase outs for you to qualify or not qualify for the Trump account. Okay, so again, fair warning here. Okay, I'm not pushing, pro-Trump or against Trump. So whenever we have a lot of pictures of Trump here, I'm always, aware that he's a very polarizing figure, and some people might get triggered by that and think that I'm promoting Trump. No. If Joe Biden was the president, if Kamala Harris was the president, if Barack Obama was the president, we would have plastered their pictures on this presentation as well. Okay? So not taking political sides here. Okay? So again, what are the benefits of the Trump account? So one, you get untaxed, free $1,000 of federal seed money. Who can say no to free money, okay? Especially money that grows tax-free, okay? As long as you don't withdraw it prematurely or have a disqualified withdrawal, okay? Next is that you get great financial education, okay? Your child gets to learn what is the power of investing, what's the power of compound interest, okay? So they will also learn the nature of ups and downs of the market, all right? So again, people always ask me, should my first investment be real estate? I tell them no, because unlike what you've heard on social media, real estate is a very risky investment. You could lose money on real estate, whether it's long-term rentals, short-term rentals, house flipping, midterm rentals. It doesn't matter. You could lose money on real estate. Versus when you invest your money in the U.S. stock market, okay, and it's diversified, yes, the returns might be lower, but your risk is lower too. But you get to learn the fundamentals of investing, and then you could take that lessons and you could apply it to alternative investments like real estate in the future. Okay? Again, this is tax advantage growth, meaning that your money grows tax-free. Okay? And trust me, kids, once you get older, you'll realize how valuable that is. Because when you get older and you have to work a job or you start a business, every dollar that you make is going to get taxed. So when you have a vehicle that you get to grow money tax free, that is a game changer. And then when you teach this to your children from a young age, they will retain that knowledge of tax-free growth. And then once they get older and once they start generating a lot of income, then they'll start to look for tax-free growth as well. So they'll start looking at real estate. They'll start saying, oh, okay, so you are hedging your investments when you diversify your assets. And that's exactly what happens when you invested in the market. And that is why the Trump account is a much safer investment compared to real estate, especially when you're first starting out. So I've already talked a lot about this. So saving versus investing, right? You're teaching your kids the difference between saving your money, which means like putting it into a piggy bank. You get no interest, you get no compound growth, versus investing, which is where your money grows and your money compounds over time. Right? Again, you get to involve kids, expose kids at a young age to the power of investing. Okay? And again, you're teaching kids the crucial principles of investing that they will take with them to their adulthood, which they can apply to different investment types. Okay, so here's another important current event that people don't talk about is that Michael Dell, okay, the founder of Dell Computers, all right? I'm a Mac guy, but everybody knows about Dell Computers. So Michael and his wife, Susan Dell, committed to donating $6.25 billion to support and expand the Trump account initiative. Okay, this is one of the largest direct investments in American families. Okay, so who qualifies for the Dell edition of seed money? So the first 25 million American children aged 10 and under residing in zip codes with median household income of below $150,000 will qualify for an additional $250 in their Trump account. So that's potentially $1,250 of combined federal and charitable seed money. Okay, this targets low and middle income families, and this amplifies early wealth growing opportunities for the next generation of Americans. So big shout out to Michael Dell. Okay, so key takeaways and next time. So first thing is start early. Okay, federal seed money, early contributions. This will compound every single year. Okay, so make sure that you're taking advantage of this. Number two, understand the limits and rules. So again, $1,000 is the seed money. One Trump account per kid. You cannot take out that money until you're 18 years old. Once you turn 18, it turns into a traditional IRA. You will get tax and penalties if you withdraw it before the age of 59 and a half. The only exception is if you do it for educational purposes, then they will waive the 10% penalty, but you will still get taxed. All right. So again, no, you cannot use your Trump account to start your own business or buy your first property, not unless you want to get taxed and pay penalties. All right. So again, it's going to start in June 2026. You need to be an American citizen. You need to have a social security number, and you need to be born between 2025 and 2028. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Please feel free to send us any questions. Thank you so much for everybody that joined. Does anybody have any questions before I let you guys go? We literally have clients who qualify for this, who are going to have children in the next 6 months. So please be on the lookout. We're going to be sending you this video because I want you to take advantage of the Trump account. Okay? So let's make sure that the next generation of Americans is getting their first step, all right? First step towards the right direction, okay? So does anybody have any questions?
Hi, Jason. This is Cindy. How are you?
Hi, Cindy.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Cindy, are you going to have more grandchildren that's going to qualify for the Trump account?
I wish. I'm hoping, fingers crossed.
I-
But anyways, but I have a quick question. Who invests the money for these Trump accounts? Who's the custodian?
Are you asking, like, where did that money come from? Or are you asking who's holding the money?
Yeah, who's holding the money? So if I open a Trump account for my grandchild and they get the money, how does, you were saying something about compound interest. Is there any other investing that you can do with the account? Or is it just going to sit and earn interest?
Yeah, it's just going to sit there and earn interest, because if you take that money out and use it for anything else besides education, you're going to get taxed, and also you're going to get a 10% penalty. And let's do some research. Let's see who is the custodian for the Trump account, because I don't know that answer. So let's see. Who is the custodian? Yeah, so it says will be the U.S. Treasury designated financial agent. What does that mean in English? According to the internet, the best answer that they have so far is that it's going to be administered by the U.S. Treasury.
Oh, interesting. So it's not a bank or anything like that.
I guess not. I think that's probably why they're not launching it until June, is because they're probably still ironing out the details still. Yeah.
So how does it earn interest? And do you know, like, the range of interest rates, or is it, just market rate?
I've actually researched that before. So to answer your question, like, they can't really give you a definite, rate of return. But since they're investing it in the market, they see that the market makes about an average of about 7% per year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Trump account. Yes, so then again, like, if you make less than $150,000, you could also benefit from the Michael Dell contribution as well. I don't see many accountants and CPAs talking about that part, and that's very important as well.
Right, that's a great advantage to take, consideration of as well.
Yeah, and from a personal note, growing up, I had to learn about investing by myself, just me, like, learning from it from books. I think that this is a great way for kids to get introduced to learning about the power of investing from a very young age.
I agree. I think it's smart to get your kids started early.
Yes. Very good. Any other questions from either Cindy or anybody else in the audience?
Nope, I'm good. I'm just saying, I think there's going to be more to come. Like you said, I think they need to iron out the wrinkles.
Yes. We should definitely be getting more updates on this in the next few months as we get closer to June. So once again, you guys, once that comes, you know exactly where to get your information. You can come here, and then I will be reporting on it on either REI Tax Hack, which is our private Facebook group, or we'll be making content about it then. So thank you very much, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.